Good morning, dear students. In today's video, we shall try to understand the second part of lesson 3, ruling the countryside. It was already explained in the previous video, half part of this chapter. We have already discussed about the different systems which were introduced by the British for improvement of agriculture. In this chapter, mainly we shall be dealing with the production or the cultivation of indigo, the different systems which were involved in the production or cultivation of indigo, the different problems which were created because of them, that we are going to study in this video. So the first point that we are going to study is how was indigo cultivated? What were the systems, the different systems which were involved in the cultivation of indigo? That is the first topic that we are going to study. There were two main systems of indigo cultivation. We can say for the cultivation of indigo mainly two systems or two processes were there. The first process, it was known as the niche cultivation, and the second process, it was known as the rioting cultivation. One by one we shall study. First of all, we shall study about the niche cultivation. Within the system of niche cultivation, the planter produced indigo in land that he directly controlled. Here see, under the niche cultivation, the planters or the owners who wanted to cultivate indigo, they cultivated or they produced indigo only on the lands that he directly controlled. The land which was under his control was generally used for the cultivation of indigo under the niche cultivation. In this system, either he bought the land or rented it from other zamindars and produced indigo by directly employing hired laborers. Means, under the niche cultivation, the planters, if they did not have land, they would either bought it or they would rent it out from the other zamindars, and then they will employ the hired laborers and would cultivate indigo, and that's the meaning of niche cultivation. But under this niche cultivation, some problems were created. Here it is given, the problems with niche cultivation. The planters found it difficult to expand the area under niche cultivation. When the planters, they wanted to cultivate indigo, they faced some problems. What were the problems? You see, indigo could be cultivated only on fertile lands. You should know that indigo was such a plant which could be cultivated only on the fertile land or the best land, and these were already densely populated. These fertile lands or the best land were already densely populated, so the planters, they were facing the problem of shortage of land. For the production of indigo, huge plot of land was required, and that fertile land was already densely populated, and that's why the first problem that the planters faced was shortage of land. The second problem, another problem, was shortage of laborers. We can say the second problem which was faced by the planters was shortage of labor. I already told you that under the niche cultivation, the planters, they would cultivate indigo on their own land by employing the hired laborers. But here they faced the problem of shortage of laborers. Why it was like that? Labor was needed for indigo production at a time when peasants were busy with rice cultivation. Generally, these laborers were mainly from the peasants, but when the planters were in need of the laborers to employ them in the indigo production, at that time the peasants, they were busy with their rice cultivation. As a result, the planters, they faced the shortage of laborers. The third problem, another problem, was investing or purchase and maintenance of plows. During that time, tractors or the machineries were not there. Mainly the planters or the cultivators, they were depending on plows or the bullocks. They could not get the supplies from the peasants since their plows and bullocks were busy on their rice cultivation or rice fields. The time when the planters were in need of the plows or the bullocks, at that time both the plows or the bullocks, they were busy in the rice cultivation, so they did not get the supply of the plows and the bullocks. So we can say in the niche cultivation, the planters, they mainly faced three problems. What were the problems? The first problem was shortage of land, the second problem was shortage of laborers, and the third problem was the problem with plows and bullocks. When the people or when the planters they saw the different problems or they faced different problems under the niche cultivation, then they tried for another system, and that system was known as the Rioting system. The second system of cultivating indigo, it was known as the Rioting system. You can see it is given indigo on the land of the riots. You can say here riots means the peasants. Okay, let's see what is the meaning of Rioting system. Under the Rioting system, the planters forced the riots to sign an agreement. In this system, in the system of Rioting, between the riots and the planters, one agreement was signed. And what was mentioned in the agreement? See, those who signed the agreement were given cash advances or loans. The riots or the peasants who signed the agreement, those riots or the peasants were given cash advances or loans at, you can say, low interest. But it committed the riots to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their total land. This was mentioned in the agreement that they would be provided loans or cash advances, but at the same time they had to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their land. And since we already got indigo could be cultivated on the best soil, and the peasants they preferred to cultivate rice in that soil, but the planters demanded that they should cultivate indigo on the best soil. The planters provided the seed and the drill, while the cultivators prepared the soil, sowed the seed, and looked after the crop. So we can say under the Rioting system, it is very simple. Few points you just need to know. In the Rioting system, first of all, one agreement would be signed between the planters and the riots. And according to the agreement, the riots would be given cash advances. At the same time, they had to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their total land. And also the planters, they would provide the seed will be provided by the planters, the drill will be provided by the planters, and the cultivators or the riots, what they needed to do, they would prepare the soil, they would sow the seed, and they would look after the crop. That was the Rioting system. Just like the niche cultivation, as we already got, some problems were created. In the Rioting system also, the riots or the cultivators, they faced some problems. You see, the problems are given here. When the crop was delivered to the planters, a new loan was given to the riots, and thus the riots were trapped in a cycle of loan. I already told you that when the riots would sign the agreement with the planters, they would be given a loan. And once the plants are ready, the harvest is ready, the harvest would be delivered to the planters, again the riots would be given one new loan. So you can see, once loan is given, the crop is harvested, the crop is delivered to the planters, again one new loan would be given to the riots. So you can understand from here, the riots, they got trapped in a cycle of loan. They were not able to come out from the cycle of loan. Also, the planters also insisted that indigo be cultivated on the best soils in which peasants preferred to cultivate rice. You know, rice is our staple food. We need rice. So the peasants or the riots, they wanted to cultivate rice on the best soil or the fertile soil, but at the same time the planters, they insisted the riots or the cultivators to cultivate indigo on the best soil. Moreover, indigo had deep roots and it exhausted the soil rapidly. The indigo plants, their roots were very deep. Once indigo was cultivated on a plot of land, that plot of land could not be used for rice cultivation. After an indigo harvest, the land could not be sown with rice. So you can see here, in the Rioting system, the problem was the riots, they could not come out from the cycle of loan. Even they were forced to cultivate indigo on the best soil, and they preferred to cultivate rice on that soil. So these were the problems in the Rioting system. Now we are moving towards the last topic of this chapter, the Blue Rebellion and after. We can say the Blue Rebellion, it was mainly related to the cultivation of indigo. As I already told you, in your previous video that indigo was a plant which produced rich blue color, and that's why the name was given blue rebellion. And as you already got in today's video, that both in the niche cultivation as well as under the rioting cultivation, the cultivators or the riots or the peasants, they faced different types of problems, and because of that they started to revolt, and that revolt was known as the Blue Rebellion. It was by the indigo cultivators against the planters. In March 1859, in the year of 1859, in the month of March, thousands of riots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. As we already got that the riots, they faced different types of problems, and that's why finally in 1859 in Bengal they refused to grow indigo. As the rebellion spread, riots refused to pay rents and attacked indigo factories. When the riots, they found it very difficult to compete with the planters, they started to refuse to pay the rent. They did not pay the rent, and even they attacked the indigo factories. The riots also had the support of the zamindars and the village headmen. Initially, in the beginning, the riots, they did not have the support of the zamindars and the village headmen. But now, the zamindars as well as the village headmen, they also understood about the problem with the indigo cultivation, and that's why they also started to support the riots. Worried by the rebellion, the government brought in the military to protect the planters and set up the Indigo Commission. And now the East India Company, when they saw that the indigo cultivators or the riots, they are openly coming for revolt, and that's why they brought in the military to protect the planters, and also they set up one Indigo Commission. They set up the Indigo Commission to inquire into the production or cultivation of indigo. And after investigation, the commission held the planters guilty. The commission declared that all the faults were with the planters. It also declared that indigo production was not profitable for riots. The Indigo Commission, it told that the guilt was with the planters, and also it declared that the indigo cultivation, it was not profitable for the riots. It also asked the riots to fulfill their existing contracts and told them that they could refuse to produce indigo in future. As you already got in Rioting System, the riots, they had to sign one agreement or one contract. So the commission said to the riots that they need to complete or fulfill their existing contract, and in future they could refuse to produce indigo in the future. And in this way indigo production collapsed in Bengal. So you can say by the year of 1859 indigo production in Bengal was collapsed, or it was finished. So that's all about this chapter. Now you need to go through both the videos. There are some small questions, you need to underline those questions, and if there is any doubt about the chapter, about any topic, you can definitely get it cleared from me. Thank you very much.